Hello, how are you today?
Hi, I am well. I am so excited to be talking with you. How are
Oh,
you?
yeah, same. Zamara, right?
Zamara.
Zamara, great.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for that correction. So, Zamara, it's a pleasure to be connecting with you today. I'm sure that we're going to bring forward a lot of messages for you. As we always do, there's always new information that streams in, which is really fun and exciting. So, what prompted you to book a session today? What is it that you would like to discuss?
So you're my favorite teacher, my favorite
Thank you.
spiritual teacher right now, and so I was just wanting to connect with you one on one. I watch all of your videos. You are just amazing, and so I just have always wanted to book a session, but you have to do it like instantly, and
Yes,
so today I was able to instantly do it. So I'm grateful to just be here connecting with you.
absolutely. That's fantastic. Yeah. And it's interesting how they do happen instantly, and I'm really pleased that you were able to manifest that, because they go really fast, and there's never a coincidence as to why we connect. So Zamara, how's your life going? How's the awakening going for you? Like, what are some of the things or symptoms or things that are showing up in your physical reality that are letting you know that there's change, that are letting you know that everything is shifting? What's going on in your life?
So I live in Mount Shasta, California. I moved here this year. So
Mm.
that's one thing. Just like I always want to be somewhere that supports my ascension and spiritual journey. And so I was able to manifest living here.
Yeah,
And it's been powerful. And another symptom is I'm always alone and I'm tired of being alone.
yeah,
And I just wonder, like, where's my soul family? Why do I have to be alone for so long? Why can't I connect with people like on a super deep level, like the way that I want to? Like, where are these people like you and that want to dive deep and be raw and real and vulnerable? And so it's
yeah.
frustrating because I've been so alone and like I don't know. I just
I
wondered why
understand.
why
Well,
do I
just
have
think of
to
it
be
like
like
this.
this?
Think of it like this. Like, I'm alone too.
Mhm.
Okay. And um, are there a lot of people that I could probably connect with on a soul level every day? Yes, but I don't want to.
Mhm.
I don't want to. Here's the thing. We go through phases during the awakening, and I want you to know that my entire practice is about how magnetic I am.
Mm.
It's literally, I treat my pineal gland like it is a crystal device, and I don't have to do much, show up moment to moment, and it brings to me everything I need.
Mm.
So if you even look at the presentation of you moving to Mount Shasta, it was the magnet. You were not the magnet.
Mm.
If you look at this wanting, this hungering for community, it is still the magnet. You're not the magnet. We have to move beyond that. We have to get to a place where if there is a community, you're like, I'm good. I've already found those tunnels from within me. And what that will make you do is appreciate everyone, where you can show up. It doesn't matter if someone's awakened, unawakened, conscious, unconscious, but because you have such a solid practice and you're able to pour into yourself, you don't look for other people to fill that gap or to fill that void. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Where were you before?
I lived in Sedona for 3 months and I kind of moved around a lot. I was a travel nurse.
I want you to look at the patterns. Sedona, another metaphysical place,
Right.
looking for community, looking for people who are like-minded.
Right.
Your guides want you to step up into your mastery, because I promise you that Jesus, Yeshua, felt alone. I promise you that Buddha felt alone. But there's beauty in that. It's a solitary path. What it is that the quality of life increases. And you have access to such a potent, plasmic, crystalline energy that unless whatever it is wants to see you can enrich you like it already is, then why would you do it?
Mm.
There are truly rungs of the ladder, even though there isn't a ladder. From another perspective, there is. We're literally like in a simulated reality, a video game, and we can increase our powers every day. So from that perspective, there are levels. If you, for instance, just embrace the fact that there's aloneness right now and you decided, I'm going to connect with Mount Shasta, how can I be alone if I have Mount Shasta, right?
Mm-hmm, right.
I'm going to connect with that. You may find that in a year from now, you're invited at a gathering with people who have been in communion with each other. And when you walk in with your perspectives, they're going to be jaw dropped at everything you share because they've been hanging out together, sharing on the phone every day, and that was preventing them from meditating every day. Like sometimes we get overly entangled with people, and it's not healthy.
Right.
Yeah. The magic is in the trees. The magic is in the earth. There's another realm that you can access, which I feel isn't the cosmos, which is more like Avalon or it's another realm within this realm, especially at night, like dawn going into the night, the veil gets very thin. And if you're able to connect to your breath at night, the entire matrix will shift and you'll feel the elementals around you. You'll feel the fairies around you. You'll feel that wizard energy coursing through your body. That's the stuff that no one can give you. So how do we locate it? How do we activate that portal? Just everyday devotion to this path and playing with it. I like to walk. I like to go on a very slow walk at night, and I do this nightly, and magic happens. Like magic. It's the magic from Walt Disney that was just channeled. You know, I'm talking about that. So when the trees know you're there, and when you've built this vortex because you keep going back to the same forest, or you can keep going back to the same street. That's what we're doing here. We're building vortexes. And then we build a rapport with them, and we go back every day and we connect telepathically with other beings who are doing the same thing. And they send us new information, and then we send them new information. And whenever we get a little too lazy, they're like, you need to step it up. Come on, we're a team, right? There's so much magic that's accessible from within. We just have to show up and stop focusing on what's not here, right? We can't just leave the house in hopes to find someone who's like-minded, because that's disempowerment at its finest. Is that resonating with you?
Yes.
The Sedona, the Mount Shasta, that part of you has to die.
What do you mean?
You have to die to all of these metaphysical places and realize that there's a stargate within you that can take you to any of these locations. There is such a thing as a physical vortex, but that does not mean that you cannot access it from a remote location.
Mm-hmm.
You can definitely, if I leave and I go to, I don't know, London, I can still activate the street that I walk on every day. We have a rapport, we have a relationship. Yeah. Let me ask you this. That portion of you that wants that community, have you asked yourself, why do I so badly want community?
I think because I feel like a part of me comes alive when I'm able to really dive deep, and it's really connection, like connecting with other humans beyond just like the way that we normally every day connect with them on the surface level, but like just that deep like intimacy and connection.
Mm-hmm. Let's go inside. So it's a longing for a connection. right? And I promise you that there are angelics and extra dimensionals who are at the sideline right now waiting to connect. That can give you something that humans aren't capable of giving you yet. They can offer you new technologies. You know, technology that you see in the world is really just a manifested version, a denser version of the technology we have access to etherically. That's all it is. The technology we have on this world isn't laughable because a lot goes into that, into synchronizing with those ideas and bringing them to fruition. But they're only technologies that are relative to where people are vibrating right now, if that makes sense to you. So if someone was had already accessed their crystal technology, their third eye and all of this, and they reached the highest octave, we would have very different technology. The technology right now is in accordance with who we are as a collective. So from that perspective, it's rudimentary. What I want to offer you today is, how about if you, this sense of wanting to connect and go into deep conversation is something that's supposed to be more of a calling. Maybe it's something that you're supposed to support the collective through. Maybe you're supposed to launch services, and which at that point you would be able to do it all day on your own schedule. What are you doing for work right now?
So I'm a nurse at the hospital, and it's not my passion, but I don't know how to get out of it and still make the amount of money that I make, which is okay. I'm still struggling, but it's like decent. And yeah, like totally, yes, this is my passion. Things like what you're doing, what we're doing right now, like I would love to do this.
But if you did this all day, you would not want to do it when you go to the movies with your friends. Believe me. If you're on the phone all day, the last thing you want to do is hang out with a friend and talk more metaphysical. That's why I'm saying the purpose of our call today is to rearrange the entire field. These people that you wanted to be in communion with are actually probably supposed to be clients.
Right. Yes.
You
I
see,
feel that.
so the whole thing is like disorganized. And you said it as soon as you said, it's not my passion to be a nurse. Boom, right there. That's what your guides have been trying to draw your attention to.
Oh, it's very clear, but I don't know, like, how do I just shift from the, let's say, matrix to just like, oh, being an entrepreneur and doing what lights me up? Number one,
it's vibrational. So you can't get on a phone with a client and say, I don't understand why I'm alone. You can't do that. You're not at that point, you're not the facilitator. You need to start applying everything that you want to embody and represent now. It's not, don't focus on the physical, don't focus on the tangible. Focus on, okay, every time I want to have a profound conversation with someone, instead I'm going to go for a nice walk, or I'm going to meditate, and I'm going to deepen my connection with my guides. And then from there, you can start to offer readings. Once you feel confident in your ability to do this, you can start to offer readings to people on a one-on-one basis, on one-to-one basis, and maybe just for free, and then they can write a testimonial for you. And then from there, you can launch a tiny website, something that someone can make for you in 2 days. And then you slowly start to transition from your nursing to that. Or maybe you stop nursing altogether and you start focusing on this. But I would say stay in nursing just for a little while, because this is something that you really wanted at some point. And the reason why you wanted it is for the purpose that you're struggling right now. You wanted connection. You wanted to be able to be a facilitator, and then you got over that, right? So that's why we have to go into these patterns, because when you wanted to be a nurse, there was a reason for that. You liked connecting. So we have to ask ourselves, why has that phased out for you?
I think because in the hospital, I can't connect on the level that I want to. And I honestly feel like what we're doing in the hospital goes against my values and my integrity. And I don't really like honor it's all a fucked up system, and I don't support it now that I've been in it and I see what really happens behind the curtain.
Closed doors, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that you already know. So we initially have to get over this idea of community.
I think, and it's not just community. It's like, I just want, like, where's my divine counterpart? It's like that wanting of just like one person that fucking gets me and will support me and like, let's do it. Let's kill it. Like, let's go.
It's not the let's. You got to get over that. You got to get over the let's. That's the community thing. You got to get over that. The let's is you and your angels. That's it. These invisible forces that are working from behind the scenes are way more powerful than humans. You've got to toss the let's, toss it overboard. Okay? Your divine counterpart, all of this, if you want to be a great practitioner, you've got to be solid on your own. You can't need someone to go on that stage with you. You can't need someone to do a video with you. You can't need someone to be by your side when you're hosting a group session. You've got to do it on your own. And believe me, I share as someone who to depend on people. But what my universe, what Source always shows me is still, it's just us. That's it. Have I had people give me help? Yes. And then they fall away, or maybe something goes haywire, or I don't know. And it's like, it's just a reminder that it's just me and God. You've got to get really snuggly with God, Source. Get cozy and say, you know what? I believe in magic. And I believe that just by doing it with integrity, right? Because when you were speaking, it sounds to me like integrity is important and values are important. With my integrity, without dropping my dignity, I'm going to really start looking for those miracles by continuing to uphold my frequency. That's it. I'm not going to depend on people. I'm going to make it happen on my own. It's not as special if people are always helping you, because then you don't really know if you did it on your own with your guides.
Well, so I never feel like anyone's helping me. Like, I do everything on my own. Like, I don't rely on anyone.
That part of you that still wants, though, the support, that's going to be the gift. Meaning that's what's going to allow you to catapult into the highest dimensions by virtue of working with that energy to fuel your engine. I want support too. I want someone who holds my hands and says, I love you, I'm here for you. But not having that fuels me. So when I meditate, I literally leave my body. I know how to numb my entire body and leave my body. I can self-induce an out-of-body experience. I wouldn't be able to do that unless I had these deep desires. They're the fire. You get it?
Yeah.
So I'm not negating what you're feeling. I'm not saying don't do that. Don't hope for that. Of course, hope for that. But rather than rather than limiting it to something that's physical in nature, go deeper with it. It's an energetic thing. Now, the universe is showing you that through your hologram so that you can take that energy and wield it. You know what I mean by wielding it?
Using it for something.
Wielding it is manipulating it, working with it in cooperation and going, let's take this dragon and let's ride it. That's what it's about. Even if you meet someone who's dear to your heart today, there is no guarantee that they will be there in a week from now. Right? This is why we have to fully rely on ourselves. And I know that you do, but there's still a part of you that has the arrow pointing outward at times. And that longs for. It's okay to long for, but point the focus inward and long for the stars, long for the cosmos, long for other planetary bodies, long for other connections that are otherworldly. That's what's going to make you skyrocket into other dimensions. Now, here's the amazing thing, going back to what I said earlier with the magnetic resonance. The higher you go in terms of your magnetism, that's when you know that the universe will bring you things in divine time. Look, sometimes we're single and we don't understand why we're single, is because your partner may be 20 years old and you won't meet them for another 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, we don't always understand why things aren't lining up. But I'm telling you this much. If you work on magnetism, it doesn't have to be through your third eye. It can be through your heart. Your heart is an electromagnetic field. I usually do it more with my third eye. But if you do it with your heart or your third eye and you really apply yourself, that's when you will know for certain that if something hasn't been delivered yet, is because it's not time for it to be delivered.
Mm-hmm.
All we can do is continue to fine-tune ourselves. And then when we go out into the physical realm, we blow people's minds away. And they're like, oh my God. We don't realize how much progress we're making until we go back out into the world, because we're so focused on expanding. This is about vibrating at an off the charts level, where your power, your love is irrefutable. It's undeniable. So we already know that your physical hologram is demonstrating where there's dissonance in your field, right? And that's what's great about this reality, is the physical components show us what needs to be aligned energetically. Did you catch that one?
You're saying the physical components?
The physical components demonstrate what needs to be realigned. So your job shows you're not happy.
Right.
That's like proof. That's evidence.
Right.
Right? So it's like the universe is like, okay, there's an energy that's a little out of whack here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's work on that.
I just feel like I don't know how, and I know you've already told me how, like, oh, just baby step it today. And I don't know.
It's not about knowing so much as it is the wanting to know is the rational brain.
Mm.
It wants to know how. What your guides are asking you to do is start building a house on a vibrational level. Knowing that once that house is built vibrationally, and it's invisible, right, to the physical eye, once it's built vibrationally, your world has no choice but to match that. It has no choice. Okay? So the how is more of the human aspect. But how am I going to leave my job? But how am I going to meet the love of my life? You're going to meet it by realigning all the stuff in your system that's not flowing properly. You're going to remove the dams in the river. You're going to start to work in cooperation with your universe and do your due diligence to move beyond the mountains of fear. You have to move over those mountains. Okay, I'm not happy at my job. Obviously, if I just rip the Band-Aid off and I leave my job, I might be broke. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be sensible about this. I'm going to start working with my energy. When I'm there, I'm just going to be the embodiment of divinity. And while I'm there, I'm going to start directing my energy at how divine I am when I'm actually giving readings. I want you to take all of that energy that you've been pouring into these other things and really start pouring it into yourself to create amplitude within your vibratory field. That amplitude is the magnetism you're looking for. The thing about the amplitude is like a momentum, and it starts to build upon itself. So at that point, you don't really have to do much. You just have to keep listening. It's kind of like when someone goes to the studio and they write a song. Eventually, like the song takes on its own momentum, and then the person writing is like, oh, what does this song need from me? Right? The writer isn't writing it; the song is writing them now. So what we do is we build the building, or we build the house, and it's vibrational in its essence. And then it shows us how to now build it physically once it's ready, because it wants to build itself. Our job is to focus on the vibrational components. Okay, I'm going to realign my reality by focusing on my emotions, on what I like, what I don't like, on realigning my entire field, which is really like deconstructing your old house and building a new house. That new house, though, is non-physical. That new house, though, has a consciousness. And when that new house is all ready, it's now going to show you what it needs because it wants to build itself. Think of how powerful that is. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. So
How does it feel?
Are you building the house like when you go to the same spot over and over again?
Oh
in
my
nature
God.
And playing and that way?
I'm not only building houses, I'm building universes.
Mm.
The entire world is my home now. Gaia's my mom.
Mhm.
And I don't limit it just to this plane of existence. I'm talking about future incarnations as well. I remember a lifetime where I was in prison because I had been misconvicted, and I knew that I'd be there. So what I did was, the only way to be free is from within, to learn how to astral project, to learn how to move to different worlds. And I remember projecting a fragment of myself or my consciousness into a future realm. We have that power. But it cannot come to its full fruition if we're still looking or needing something from without. We really have to crank up the volume from within and then get really imaginative and get very inventive and get very innovative. That's the key. How does that sound?
Good.
I want you to start envisioning every cell in your body as a little human being and injecting every cell in your body with attention, with love, with nurture, with care. Don't steal the show from them. Give them the spotlight as well. When you say, where's my person, or when am I going to find community, it's always about you. What if those cells in your body are needing you? What if they're your friends? What if they're going to bring you your friends?
Mm-hmm.
So to start injecting them with love, I do that at the gym now. My guide showed me when I was there recently. They said, okay, you've been working out, but start imagining that every cell in your body is getting energy from this. And I actually saw them as tiny little beings who were stretching like I was, who were like energizing themselves like I was. It was so cool. I saw millions of them in my body, growing like a plant, being infused with this light, me showering them with the love. So the entire focus, how we come into mastery, how we come into a greater measure of the consciousness that we are, is by solely focusing on the internal, knowing that the external is always taken care of. It is never not taken care of. It is always taken care of. We don't have to focus on the external because the external vibrates at a slower rate. So even if you look for things in the external, you're focusing on you're focusing on a creation that might have just happened in one meditation, as opposed to focusing on all that's to come, right? Like if you meditate, you can pop, 10 babies out. meaning 10 new realities out of your cosmic womb. When you focus on the physical vibrates at a slower rate because the physical is a collective agreement. It's your own reality as well, but the thing is, the reason why things take longer to materialize in the physical is because there are many components working together. So it doesn't happen overnight. So you want to keep focusing on the non-physical and keep creating. This way you're always like ahead of your time. This way, if you decide to come back in another incarnation, you're now incarnating in a royal family or in a really wealthy family that homeschools you, and you get the choice. You have the choice. If we only focus on what's missing, when we transition, things are chosen for us because we couldn't think for ourselves. We couldn't create for ourselves. We were depending on things externally. So when you make it to the other side and these guides tell you it's time to go back, you won't even have a voice. You're just going to be, okay, I'll go back, because you're easily influenced. This is about gaining influence over your reality, right? So whenever we look for things that are outside of us, our reality still has influence over us. Is this resonating?
Mm-hmm.
You are a magician. I just want you to start owning it. I want you to start claiming it. I am a magician. It's what I'm here to do. It's what I'm here to be. I'm here to abracadabra. Take that fuel, take that energy, right? Take all these desires, even if it means that you're lonely and you want love. Take that. It's pain. That will add to your engine. Take it, but go inside. Burst, implode, do what you need to do. It's more of a mindset. And call upon your guides. They're going to help you. I'm really glad we got to connect today.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you as well. And I'm sending you infinite blessings, infinite light, and I trust that everything will unravel in the most divine fashion for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You take care.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.